a lot, but they're still a little bit kind of holding on a little bit, maybe over San Mateo Bridge, Dumbarton. 30s in the mountains, 25 Mammoth. I think Mammoth had a foot of snow, is what I'm hearing. Still snowing up there, up in the mountains. That's good. I know Donner Summit has snow at this hour. 50s on the temps here. They're all stuck, but that low is on its way out of the picture. High pressure will nose in. A weak system will clip us on Sunday night. I don't think it'll do much here. It'll give us a cooler and breezy conditions. Then we're probably done to the end of the month or into early November is kind of the way it looks. The teleconnections do not favor rain returning, at least not yet. Get off my cloud. A lot of them in the morning. I think a little more sun in the afternoon. We'll get back into the mid-60s, and then warmer temps will start tomorrow and take us into Saturday. Maybe a few near 80.
Steve, thank you. 7:22 amid a fragile ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. We'll explore what Israel is now threatening to do if the remains of all dead hostages are not returned. .25, a live look here in East Bay. If you look right in the middle of the screen, a little tiny bit of golden light trying to shine up above the East Bay, looking out in the area of Highway 4. A ton of clouds up above, perhaps the lightest mist falling. We're still sort of damp, but nothing like where we were during that Monday washout. Weather continues to change exactly as our meteorologist Sue Paulson said it would. We'll bring you back in just a minute for more detailing of today's forecast. Doctors are urging people who suffer from back pain to consider sleeping without a pillow. Doctors say most of the back pain originates in the neck and lower spine. They say all those hours spent over looking at your phone only make things worse. They say your positioning during your sleep hours can also affect how you feel all day long.
Sleeping, I mean, I would not sleep on a giant pillow where you're in flexion, constantly. I'd sleep more neutral using like either a neck pillow or a flatter pillow. If you're a back sleeper, for sure. Side may not matter much.
Aside from sleep, doctors say you should protect your back by using your leg strength to lift heavy items. They say squatting instead of bending over will help.
All right, our time, 7:26. Two San Francisco firefighters were hurt in an early morning house fire. We'll bring you a live report from the scene as firefighters watch out for hot spots.
San Francisco's district attorney continues to push back against talk of bringing the National Guard to the city, what she says she'll do if federal troops come to San Francisco.
Good morning. Two San Francisco firefighters were hurt early this morning battling a fire in the Marina District. What we now know about how they were hurt and why firefighters are still at that scene. And Israel says it's still waiting for the release of the remains of deceased hostages by Hamas. What's holding up the release and what Israel is threatening despite that ceasefire.
From KTVU Fox 2 News, this is Mornings on 2.
Well, good morning, and thank you for joining us. Welcome back to Mornings on 2. I'm Dave Clark.
Good morning. I'm Gaskia Mikaelian. It's Wednesday, October 15th, right in the middle of the month. A few days ago, Steve Paulson, I guess a week or so, we were fighting over the AC. Now we have caved in and turned on the heater.
Yesterday, a friend of mine called me, he goes, I'm 56 degrees, and I said, I'm 55. Yeah. And that's cool.
Wow,
that's a
you're
cool
tougher
day.
than I am.
Cloudy. San Jose, though, we're going to focus on you because it's just knocking it out of the park here. Now, again, just because you have a wet October does not mean you have a wet November. But this week, 1.52, their season total is now, since July 1st, is 2.41. This is, by the way, the third wettest day yesterday, that 1.5. The third wettest day in October ever in San Jose's history. But as they stand as a percent of normal, which is 0.28, they are 861% of normal. I should add quickly, I mean, again, you get a wet October, sometimes dry in November. Kind of the way it works, but we'll see what happens this time around. 50s on the temps here, 52 in Livermore, 55, 56, cloudy, mostly cloudy. if there's any mist drizzle, it's kind of hanging on by a thread here because there's not a lot left. But still snow up in the mountains, and I know it's snowing at Donner Summit, and I know Mammoth had about a foot, but our low is taking the turn now. It's just north of Las Vegas. You can get off my cloud for crying out loud. But we have a lot of them in the morning. I think we'll get some breaks in the afternoon, but we're done with this system pretty much here. 60s on the temps. All right. I don't know. Bay Bridge?
Bay Bridge is always a good one. San Mateo Bridge, Richmond Bridge, Steve, all of them have been issues. Now, on the Richmond Bridge, let me show you, the traffic is moving through, but there was a previous crash on the bridge. Now, it's moving much better, but the backup is way long. It's backed up deep into Richmond, much longer than you normally have. Then the Bay Bridge is backed up beyond the maze. There were no problems there. It's just slow, and it has been raining. And on the San Mateo Bridge, we've had those flashing lights and that crash on the shoulder for a long time. We are backed up from 880, so it's not a good commute morning. Now, let's go back to the desk.
New this morning, 2 firefighters are injured after they fell through the floor of a burning building in the Marina District.
That's in San Francisco, and more than 100 firefighters rushed to that fire just hours ago. KTVU's James Torres still out there. You have the latest developments. Good morning, James.
Good morning, Dave. A lot of these crews have been here since about 4 o'clock this morning. That's when they say the first calls came in letting them know a building was on fire. Here's what we're seeing right now. The building is no longer on fire. Of course, it's still burned and very much destroyed on the inside at this point. We know firefighters are in that second floor where you see the glass that's broken out. They've been walking in and out of the area, cleaning it out, breaking down some walls too. They had to evacuate the people who live on either side of the building because they said the fire spread. It didn't cause that much damage to those neighboring buildings, but it did cause enough of a concern that the people who live there had to walk out and are still out at this time. I actually got a chance to talk to one of the people who was evacuated, who lives in the neighboring building. He tells me that he was actually taking a nap on the couch in the front area of his unit. He says he smelled smoke when he woke up in the middle of the night around 4 o'clock this morning. Here's what he had to say a little bit more about his terrifying experience today.
We peeked through a window and it looks like, the ceiling's down essentially, or they've taken down the drywall, but we've already been in contact with our landlord.
And as you mentioned, 2 firefighters now recovering in the hospital, and here's why. It sounds like the fire spread from the second floor up to the third floor. That normally wouldn't happen in a building like this, or at least not so quickly. But this building was under construction and somewhat already gutted out from the inside. So that means a lot of the elements that would normally be there that would help prevent the spread of the fire wasn't there, and a lot of other just construction materials were lying around, and that helped the fire spread. Firefighters got up to the third floor to try to tackle that fire, and then the floor ended up giving out. 2 of those firefighters ended up falling from the third floor down to the second floor. They were pulled away, taken to the hospital, recovering with some injuries likely to their back and to their legs. Now, the crews that you're seeing inside, they are now trying to analyze and investigate what started this fire in the first place. They said that's still very much under investigation. As for the people who lived next door, it's likely they're not going to be able to go back to their apartment unit. The man that we were talking to earlier, he says that he lives there with his wife. His wife is now 8 months pregnant. Fortunately, they do have family that live nearby that they will be staying with until further notice. We're live this morning in San Francisco. I'm James Torres, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
All right, James, thank you. Time now 7:35. Israel now demanding that Hamas fulfill all of the requirements in the ceasefire deal with Israel, including returning the bodies of all dead hostages. Last night, 4 bodies were handed over. Israel identified 3 of them, but says the 4th may not have been a hostage from the attack by Hamas. Palestinian leaders say the widespread destruction in Gaza is making that handover a lot harder. Israel threatens to reduce the number of humanitarian aid trucks going into Gaza if all of the deceased hostages are not returned.
We need to flood Gaza with food and as quickly as possible.
Now, so far, Hamas has returned what's believed to be 4 of the 28 deceased Israelis, while Israel has released the first of 45 bodies of Palestinians who were detained and killed after the October 7th attack. Well, here at home, UCSF is instituting another round of job layoffs. According to SF Gate, the cuts are made up of researchers who were driving medical breakthroughs for neurodegenerative diseases, including Alzheimer's. About 28 workers are affected, and they're being let go. Researchers say many of the drugs they were working on were close to being submitted to the FDA, but now they're worried the work is being put on hold. UCSF laid off about 200 people earlier this year because of cuts to grant funding. The university has made no comment on these layoffs. And a new study is out revealing a growing mental health crisis among California's young population, with anxiety and stress surging to unprecedented levels. Researchers are saying social media is a major contributing factor for these struggles among teenagers and young adults. Those platforms are linked to a higher risk of depression, a negative body image, and exposure to cyberbullying. The experts are urging greater investment in mental health resources to deal with the widespread and urgent need for support.
Happening today, San Francisco's district attorney will lead a press conference in which she'll further reject calls for the National Guard to be sent to the city. Today's event comes after she denounced President Trump's deployment of the National Guard to blue states, and days after Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff said he'd welcome National Guard troops to San Francisco, then pulled back on those comments. The DA has also vowed that if federal law enforcement were to be sent to San Francisco, she would not hesitate to hold them accountable if they broke the law. San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie is touting what he calls a historic drop in crime in his city. This year's homicide rate is on track to be the lowest since the 1950s. There are 19 reported homicides in San Francisco this year. That's compared to 24 this time last year. Now, we should note the numbers do not include the deaths of 4 people in an apparent murder-suicide last week. Mayor Lurie says citywide crime is down 30% year over year. According to police, the number of reported car break-ins is at its lowest level since 2003.
All right, Garcia, time 7:38. We'll try to get you to where you need to go. Sal, you've been busy this morning.
Yes, I have been, and fortunately, things seem to be getting better. However, let's just start with the Bay Bridge. Everyone always wants to start there. It's been slower, but we haven't had any big crashes. I can't say the same thing for the Richmond Bridge. We had a big problem on the span that's now gone, and even though it looks good here, it is backed up big time into Richmond. If you want to know, it's probably 2 or 3 exits more than normal, all right? So that's your commute. And also, on the San Mateo Bridge, that tow truck has been there for a while, partially taking away that right lane. For a long time, we were backed up solid from 880. So the bridges are taking it on the chin. The Dumbarton Bridge isn't that much better either. So leave as early as you can. 7:39. Here's a man who left as early as he could this morning.
I did. I got the horse saddled up, and I got here as fast as I could today, son.
I know that.
I had drizzle and light rain all the way in, too. Well, ain't she a beauty? Right here, this low. That's why I show the water vapor. You can see the circulation around that low for mid-October. This one, that's a good one. But it's moved into Nevada now, which means we're almost on the drier side. I think we're seeing an end of this mist drizzle. I should add, in the last 6 hours, Oakley, Tiburon, and Fairfax have all had 0.08 on drizzle light rain. Napa Airport, 0.07. So there's been some decent little drizzle light rain here from the backside of that moisture coming down around on the western edge of that low. But it looks like it's about done. It's like that last poof on a Roman candle. I think I'm done. There's not much left here. Could be a little bit of mist drizzle in there, but we're starting to see an end to this. Still snow up in the mountains. About another hour should start to get some snow totals coming in. I know it's snowing at Donner's Summit. I know Mammoth had about 1 foot of snow, so that puts a serious dent, if not an end, to any fire concerns up there when they get that. 50s on the temps, and I don't think these are changing all that much because we're under cloudy to mostly cloudy skies. But there goes our low as it moves off Nevada and goes into the Four Corners. Just incredible amounts of October data. Salt Lake City has had their wettest October in history. And Phoenix has had unbelievable rain for the last 5-6 days here. Finally, Salt Lake City may get even more, setting more of the record that they've had in October. The wettest October in, I think, 150 years or something like that. It's been an incredible amount of rain here for some, not just for us. It looks like we're done here unless there's a weak little system that'll brush us late Sunday, Monday. Then I think that's about it till maybe the end of the month or early November. Get off my cloud. Morning overcast, aggressive drizzle, partly sunny, mostly cloudy later. I think we're about done. There could be a few rogue showers to the east, but I think that's about it. Warmer weather, not a problem. Starts tomorrow, takes us into Friday and Saturday.
Steve, thank you. As we've been reporting here, the San Mateo County Board of Supervisors voted unanimously to remove Sheriff Christina Corpus from that position. Shortly after the vote, she retired from the department, which means she can keep her benefits.
Interesting. We want to hear from you about this. So let's go over to Andre Sr. You have our viewer poll of the day.
Dave Gossi, good morning to you both. This morning we're asking, do you think public officials should keep their pensions if they're forced out? Yes, they've earned the pay, or no, they were ousted. And 67% of you say yes, no, 33%. Go to ktv.com/vote. Let us know what you think about our question of the day.
All right, that's a good question. As we go to break, take one more look at that poll, and you can start voting. You can scan the QR code in the top right-hand corner. It'll take you to our poll.
$7:45 here. Some of the stories we're following this morning. A 3-alarm fire sent 2 San Francisco firefighters to the hospital this morning. Firefighters say the home on Chestnut Street in the Marina District was under construction, making this firefight more challenging. Flames started on the 2nd floor, quickly spread to the 3rd and an adjacent building. 2 firefighters fell from the 3rd to the 2nd floor. We don't know much about their injuries, but the fire chief says they're in stable condition. President Trump says he'll announce more federal programs that are being eliminated this week. The president says several Democratic programs are being cut and that they won't return. It's unclear which federal departments or programs he's referring to. Many say the Trump administration's been using the government shutdown to shuffle bureaucracy in a manner that favors the president's goals. Former President Barack Obama is entering the battle over redistricting in California. He recorded an ad for the Yes on Prop 50 campaign. Democrats say 50 is their way to fight back after Republican states, including Texas, redrew their congressional maps to gain more seats in the U.S. House of Representatives. Prop 50 would allow California to do the same. Well, OpenAI is launching a chatbot for adults only, and there's a new badge for Boy and Girl Scouts for cybersecurity.
Now, Pam Cook is in the studio. She'll tell you all about that. And the tech stocks that are taking the markets higher this morning, Pam.
Much higher. Nice rally for my return. I appreciate that. Apple just announced new MacBook Pro, iPad Pro, and Vision Pro models with an updated, faster M5 chip that allows them to run faster. Pre-orders start now. Apple and the other big tech stocks are leading the NASDAQ, which shot up more than 300 points shortly after that opening bell rang this morning. Ringing the bell, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise celebrating its 10th anniversary of listing as a separate company. It does plan to discuss its plans to expand its growth in networking, cloud, and AI. All right, taking a live look at the markets, the Dow Jones also soaring this morning, about 300 points. Good earnings reports, mostly responsible for that. And as I mentioned, the NASDAQ is up more than 300 points. The S&P 500 also gaining about 0.75% today as well. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman announced the launch of a new explicit chatbot just for adults. OpenAI's adult-only chatbot will allow erotic content for verified users. Now, this follows Elon Musk's company xAI launching its own erotic chatbot over the summer. Recently, several parents have filed lawsuits against OpenAI, implicating them in at least 4 suicide deaths. Some critics say the launch of the new chatbot is in poor taste and has bad timing given the previous lawsuits. Facebook parent company Meta removed a group that was being used to track ICE agents. People in the group were sharing the location of immigration and customs enforcement agents in Chicago. Meta says it removed the group for violating its policy against coordinated harm. The Department of Justice also requested its removal. Developers and users of the ICE tracking tools argue monitoring agents falls under their First Amendment rights. And Scouting America, formerly known as Boy Scouts of America, is stepping into the world of artificial intelligence. The nonprofit youth organization announced members can now earn merit badges in AI and cybersecurity. Scouting America says the badge will challenge scouts to learn how to use the new technology and will be able to address its dangers and impact on the world. The cybersecurity badge will help teach scouts the tools needed to fight against cyber threats and highlights responsible online behavior. I'm Pam Cook. That's a look at your dollars and cents.
Pam, thank you. Now to a new study that finds a connection between children's social media use and cognitive decline. Researchers studied more than 6,500 children ages 9 to 13. They found 58% were on social media either very little or not at all. 37% were on social media about an hour a day. 6% of the children were on social media 3 hours a day. Now, researchers say the more children were on social media, the more their scores on memory and reading tests declined. They say the findings track with what teachers have been saying for years, that children are having a harder time focusing, and they surmise that social media has changed their ability to process information.
Not my boys.
Well, I'll tell you, my sons aren't onto social media. But
Okay.
They'll watch every mountain biking video and baseball video on YouTube they can find. So
Okay.
what's that doing to them? I don't know, but
All
I'm
right.
scared.
Let's see if it's having an impact on our commute. Sal?
Well, yes. I don't know if that's having an impact. However, the rain is, Dave and Garcia, for sure. I have been looking at the rain, and it's not raining hard. All it takes is a little bit, as you know, for the Richmond Bridge. Now, you see the Richmond Bridge and say, oh, that doesn't look too bad. You're right. It doesn't look that bad. However, it's really long. This backup doesn't just start at Castro or Harbor. It starts way before that. So if you're coming to the Richmond Bridge, it's going to be slow and steady and longer. Also, the Bay Bridge, same thing goes. The Bay Bridge looks about normal, but the backup starts before 580-24 and way before the maze. San Mateo Bridge, the same thing goes. They're trying to get that vehicle out of the bridge. It's been a long time, and we have a big backup. Now, the South Bay commute is slow as well. These are pretty much normal slowdowns for that South Bay commute. 7:50. Let's bring Steve back in with today's weather.
Sal, nothing beats it for sports updates, but I'm addicted to X Twitter.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Twitter or X, whatever. I can't watch a football game without X.
I know where you're coming from on that. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir. All right. We do have this is a pretty good system here. Come on now. I mean, for mid-October, my goodness. There it goes into Nevada. So We're still getting, though, a little bit of drizzle on the backside of this, but I think it's about done. And there it is. You can see coming down, but there's just not a lot left here. 30s in the mountain. They are getting snow. Donner Summit's getting snow. So I think, next hour or so, we'll finally get some totals coming in. It looks like it's about winding down, though, as well. 50s on the temps there. Our exit stage right, as we say, on the low. High pressure will nose in for at least 3 or 4 days. There'll be a weak system on Sunday night. I don't think it'll do much rain-wise, but it should give us a brief little cool down before warmer temps then return. Next rain doesn't look to be until the end of the month or early November. So need to see some things change here. Right now they are not in the rain phase. They are more in the dry phase. Get off my cloud here. Morning overcast, aggressive drizzle, light rain, partly sunny to mostly cloudy later. 60s on the temps, but warmer temps are on the way starting tomorrow and really kicking in Friday, Saturday day.
Oh, I see. Time now 7:52. A state of emergency declared by a California county, seeing more immigration enforcement. Up next at 8 o'clock, the financial help now available to help people affected by ice raids. And there's a new warning from firefighters about being careful about what your dog may be chewing on. How a dog's mischief led to this fire in a living room. Welcome back to Mornings on 2. It's now 7:55. A camera in a living room in North Carolina captured the moment a dog started this fire after getting hold of a lithium-ion battery. Now, the video was shared by the fire department. It shows the dog chewing on the battery before smoke starts filling the room. After the dog walked away, the battery lights up. Now, fire officials say the battery was charged, it was unplugged, it wasn't part of a recall, but it was not stored safely to keep that dog from getting to it. Fire officials say lithium-ion batteries should always be stored and used properly to limit becoming overheated. Thankfully, no one was hurt in that fire. Well, around the country, the police are warning teenagers against pulling a viral TikTok prank using AI to create a fake image of an intruder in their home. Now, teenagers have been using apps like Snapchat to create what they call the AI homeless man prank. Then they send the images to their parents, and the parents obviously freak out, sometimes even call the police. The kids record their parents' reactions and then post it online. Some of these videos have received millions of views on TikTok.
Your imagination is kind of the limit, and it's a matter of just prompting that into a chat box and getting an output.
So it's not like you need much training on anything to do this. I'm sure there's tutorials on YouTube. If not, you just kind of get the software for free and ask a few prompts and voila.
Yeah, I would say the primary training is, English language. Once you're competent with that, the sky's kind of the limit.
And many parents would be very angry. Police departments say that prank is wasting the time and the resources of police departments, and they're urging teenagers, stop pulling that prank. Time now at 7:57. 49ers star linebacker Fred Warner had surgery yesterday to repair his broken and dislocated right ankle. Now, here's Fred right here in his hospital bed. His wife, Sydney, posted a photo of Fred smiling in a hospital gown on Instagram. In a later post, Sydney thanked the faithful fans for all of their support, writing that they're counting down the days until Fred comes back better than ever. Meanwhile, fans of the Warriors will have some new merchandise this season. Christian Juszczyk announced on Instagram her off-season clothing brand is teaming up with the NBA for a new collection, which launches next Tuesday. Kristen is the wife of 49ers fullback Kyle Juszczyk. She launched her brand back in January after her football jersey-inspired clothing landed her a licensing deal with the NFL. Well, one preseason game for the Golden State Warriors remains. Last night, the Warriors defeated the Portland Trailblazers 118-111. Steph Curry looked great, like he was in mid-season form. He finished with a game-high 28 points and only played in 3 quarters. Jonathan Kuminga left the game early. He was ejected in the final seconds of the first half. He was arguing with a ref. The Golden State Warriors will try to end the preseason with another victory Friday against the LA Clippers. One of the Warriors' most beloved friendships on the team taking shape in a new way. Buddy Hield and Jimmy Butler will be featured in this, their new best buddies bobblehead. And since Jimmy Butler arrived to the Warriors last season, those two have turned news conferences into comedy sketches and regularly crashed each other's moments with the media. We talked to Buddy Hield about how much his friendship with Jimmy Butler means to him.
Teammate, great professional, great player for sure. Lots of fun, lots of laughter. Always been joking around him, but the winning brings more of the joy and the fun. So just stay on him and just making sure he's doing his job. And if he's not doing his job, we'll get on him. And I just can't be able to share the floor with him this season.
But he always does his job. The first 10,000 fans at Friday's Warriors preseason game against the Clippers will get the Best Buddies bobblehead. The game starts at 7 p.m.
Well, good morning, crews in San Francisco cleaning up from an early morning fire. What we know about the building in the Marina District where flames sparked, sending 2 firefighters to the hospital. And then
how to make it safe. That is the number one thing that's on my mind, safety.
Mark Benioff under fire, how the Dreamforce keynote turned into damage control for San Francisco's biggest tech figure. Then an unprecedented event in one California county in response to growing immigration enforcement, why critics are challenging the declaration of a local emergency.
From KTVU Fox 2 News, this is Mornings on 2.
Welcome to Mornings on 2 at 8. We begin this morning with a cloudy day across the Bay Area. We're coming off of a couple of wet days. It did rain overnight in some areas as well. We'll find out if it's going to continue today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Andre Sr.
Good morning. I'm Gassia Mikaelian. It's Wednesday, October 15th. Looks dark behind us along the Oakland estuary. Steve Paulson, we're in for a pretty decent change if you compare like Friday to Monday, right?
No doubt. We might even hit 80 degrees by Saturday for a few.
Okay.
But we're getting long in the tooth on the season here. But this system leaving behind a lot of cloud cover. Been a lot of drizzle, light rain this morning here. Fairfax, Tiburon, 0.08. Napa Airport's picked up 0.07. Sonoma, Novato, 0.04. And even Oakley's picked up a 0.08 on some of this light rain drizzle. 50s on the temps under cloudy to mostly cloudy skies. We will get a little bit of a break later today, but a lot of low-level moisture still around. So I'd look for a cloudy, mostly cloudy morning. Snow, though, is on the go still up in the mountains. This first, I know Incline Village has snow. Donner Summit, snow. So we'll get some of the totals coming in here probably in the next hour or so. But there it goes, our low. It's now taking the turn into Nevada, and it's turning. Once they start to move, they go pretty fast. Get off my cloud. There's a lot of them out there. But a little bit of still mist drizzle hanging on, but partly sunny to mostly cloudy later today. Unseasonably cool yesterday. Still cool today, but a little better. 60s on the temps. All right, Sal's here. Could be the Richmond Bridge, San Rafael. Could be the Bay Bridge. Could be the San Mateo.
Yeah, if you're waiting on a friend, Steve.
I'm not today.
They might be late. They might be late. Northbound 101, southbound 101 in the South Bay all slow. We had a couple of things to blame. Most of the crashes have been removed to the shoulder, but the South Bay commute is slow. But that doesn't look that unusual. San Mateo Bridge is finally better now that they removed that vehicle that was there for a long time associated with a crash. So things are getting a little better. The Richmond Bridge looks better, but there's a super long line coming up on that Richmond Bridge. So even though it looks okay here, it is backed up for at least a mile or two longer than usual. 8:02, let's get back to the desk.
And let's start with that developing news we've been following in San Francisco. 2 firefighters are injured after they fell through the floor of a burning building in the Marina District.
More than 100 firefighters responded to the fire a little after 4 this morning. James Torres is live on scene with the latest developments from there. James?
Yeah, the newest detail we're learning in just a few minutes. There's now a third firefighter reported hurt. We're told by crews on the scene here he was overexerting himself on trying to excavate some of the building inside there. Ended up sustaining an injury to his shoulder and elbow. He's now on his way to the hospital as well. A total of 3 firefighters now hurt as a result of this fire that started just about 4 o'clock this morning. We know 2 of those firefighters were working on the 3rd floor of this building. That's because the fire started the 2nd floor, jumped up to the 3rd floor. At some point, the floor of the 3rd floor gave. Those 2 firefighters fell to the 2nd floor, and they've been taken to the hospital, seeing doctors ever since. Here's what we see of the scene right now. Firefighters are starting to scale back what they've been working on. They've been here since about 4 o'clock this morning. 3 ladder trucks were hovering over the building as they look to put out the flames. Those trucks are not needed anymore. But we are still seeing some of the fire personnel walking in and out of the apartment building. As mentioned, started on the 2nd floor, quickly navigated up to the 3rd floor, and that's because there were a number of construction elements that weren't in the building. Normally a fire wouldn't spread in this kind of building so quickly, but because this building had been under construction for some time now, it didn't have a lot of those fire protection mechanics, so that fire was able to spread up a floor, and that's why firefighters had to work on 2 different stories here. We talked to some of the people who had to evacuate, who actually live next door to this building. Unfortunately, their apartment, we're starting to see some of those walls breaking down because the walls were adjacent to the fire that was burning. We talked to one guy who tells me he woke up very early this morning, he smelled the smoke, and his first priority was taking care of his wife, who is 8 months pregnant.
My wife is 8 months pregnant, and so, like, you know, our number one concern was like, oh God, I hope they didn't just destroy our beautiful little nursery that we've put together. But no, everything's at the front of the house. I mean, we peeked through a window and it looks like, you know, the ceiling's down essentially.
So investigators, they are still on the scene here this morning. They're walking up and down, in and out the apartment building, trying to find out how this fire started. They say the fire did spread to both the left and right of that building, damaging a little bit to those 2 adjacent buildings. They say that they don't believe it's going to cause too much of a problem for the people who live there, for the exception of the 1 unit that did get the walls broken down. Again, all of this still very much under investigation. Once we learn how this all started, we will bring that information to you. We're live this morning in San Francisco. I'm James Torres, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Thank you, James. Staying in the city here, Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff is walking back his comments about supporting the idea of the National Guard coming to San Francisco.
The issue came up in a Q&A session with Benioff at the conference yesterday. Ali Rasmus joins us live from San Francisco with details. Good morning.
Well, Andre Angasia, Dreamforce is one of San Francisco's biggest tech conferences, and some of the more than 45,000 people who are attending it are making their way to the main entrance here behind us outside the Moscone Center at 3rd and Howard. Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff says one of his biggest priorities for this event is safety for the people attending. And in a Q&A session yesterday, Benioff seemed to suggest that's the reason he made some controversial statements. In a phone interview late last week, Benioff told the New York Times he fully supports President Trump and thought that the president should send National Guard troops to San Francisco, saying, quote, "We don't have enough cops, so if they can be cops, I'm all for it," end quote. That led to an immediate outcry from San Francisco city leaders who pointed out that crime is down in the city by about 30% compared to previous years. Now, in the 5 days since that story broke, Benioff has since walked back those comments.
We're doing everything we can to make this a safe experience. This is San Francisco's largest conference by more than 2x. And we've proven year after year after year how to make it safe. That is the number one thing that's on my mind, safety. And so as I'm asked questions, all of these things, that's just kind of what's coming out.
Now, Benioff provided some additional clarification of that statement in a social media post on X earlier this week, saying, quote, "When I was recently asked about federal resources, my point was this: each year, to make Dreamforce as safe as possible for 50,000 attendees, we add 200 additional law enforcement professionals coordinated across city, state, and other partners. It's proof that the collaboration works and a reminder that the city needs more resources to keep San Franciscans safe." Now, also during that Q&A session yesterday, Benioff was asked by a reporter what he thought about President Trump's plan to charge $100,000 for H-1B visas. Benioff politely responded that he wanted to limit his comments to Dreamforce and the Dreamforce conference only, so he steered clear of that political topic. Dreamforce wraps up tomorrow. Live in San Francisco, Ali Rasmus, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Time now is 8:08. The Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors has voted to declare a local state emergency over federal immigration raids. That proclamation gives the county the ability to help those who suffered from financial difficulties from immigration enforcement operations. That includes rent relief and legal aid. Supporters say the assistance is needed because the raids have caused fear, preventing people from going to work and forcing businesses to shut down. But critics, including landlords, argue that the raids are not an emergency and could cause them to lose revenue.
Justice Department attorneys say the government shutdown is preventing them from working on pending cases. This means a California lawsuit challenging the Trump administration for targeting gender-affirming care providers is on pause. Another lawsuit that's now on hold is one filed by multiple states, including California, challenging the Department of Education's mass firings. Lawyers for the federal government have asked for delays in several other cases as well.
All right, time now is 8:09. It's day 2 of the San Francisco Police Commission's hearing on finding a new police chief. Today's session includes closed-door interviews with candidates. Over the next month, the commission hopes to select a group of finalists for which the mayor, Daniel Lurie, can choose. 34 people applied for the job. The current interim police chief, Paul Yep, is not one of them.
The San Mateo County Board of Supervisors voted unanimously to remove Sheriff Christina Corpus from her position. Marks the first time a sitting sheriff has been ousted this way in California. Yes. The board's decision follows a 42-page decision by a retired judge who reviewed the case and concluded Sheriff Corpus broke the law and her oath as sheriff. The judge found Corpus had a conflict of interest with her former chief of staff, Victor Allende, and retaliated against others in the department, including a captain. Sheriff Corpus denied the allegations and made a last-minute plea to keep her job.
When the political establishment can overturn an election because they dislike the result, democracy itself is at risk.
The people of this county deserve a sheriff's office that operates with honesty, professionalism, and accountability.
Shortly after the vote, Corpus retired from the sheriff's department. That means she is eligible to keep her benefits. She says she plans to file a civil lawsuit for unlawful termination. Under Sheriff Dan Perret is now in charge. County leaders calling for a special election to select a new sheriff. This morning, we've been asking you if you think public officials should keep their pensions if they are forced out. We see 2/3 of you, just more than that, 67% say yes, they earned the pay. About a third say no, they were ousted. You can weigh in and make those numbers change. Head to KTVU.com/vote.
Time now is 8:10, and we do have a very long delay at the Richmond Bridge. I'll show you how long. It's backed up essentially to 80. So if you're driving to the Richmond Bridge, there's a very short spot where there's no traffic right near Central, and the rest of it is slow all the way to Marin County. And even though the toll plaza looks normal, it is anything but normal when it comes to how long you're going to wait to get over to Marin. Bay Bridge, backed up beyond 580-24. That's also a 30-minute plus delay. And finally, improvement on the San Mateo Bridge, but it's slow as well. So just a little bit of rain has kind of made this commute about 25 to 30% slower if you're into percentages. 8:11. Let's go back to the desk.
Well, the State Department takes action against foreign nationals. The online comments about Charlie Kirk's death that have now cost them their visas.
Time is running out for millions who rely on Affordable Care Act subsidies, the age group that could take the biggest hit if enhanced tax credits expire.
Jacoby & Myers has been a proud part of the California community since 1972. We've stood by our neighbors, helping hundreds of thousands of families get the justice they deserve. Whether it's fighting insurance companies or fighting for you in court, we'll stand up for you. At Jacoby & Myers, we know the stakes: your family, your health, your future. For over 50 years, we've been California's trusted name in legal care. If you've been injured, call us today at 1-800-5-MILLION, because you deserve justice.
7:15 here, some of the stories we're following. Teachers in San Francisco preparing for a possible strike after 10 months of contract negotiations. Yesterday, the United Educators Union delivered signatures to the Board of Educators declaring its readiness to strike. The union previously rejected a 2% pay increase offered by the city. It wants a bigger pay bump and health care costs to be covered for all dependents.
President Trump says he'll announce this week more federal programs that are being eliminated. The president says several Democratic programs are being cut and promised they will not return. It's unclear what federal departments or programs he's talking about, but it comes as the Trump administration has been using the government shutdown to shuffle bureaucracy in his favor.
Today, San Francisco's DA Brooke Jenkins will lead a press conference in which she'll further reject calls for the National Guard to be sent to her city. The DA has also vowed that if federal law enforcement were to be sent to San Francisco, she would not hesitate to hold them accountable if they broke the law.
The Trump administration has revoked the visas of 6 people for allegedly mocking the murder of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. The State Department says the decision came after reviewing online social media posts and clips about Kirk, who was killed while speaking at a Utah college campus last month. The 6 foreigners from 6 different countries around the world were not identified. Well, today begins the 3rd week of the federal government shutdown. The Senate held its 8th vote last night to reopen the government, but fell 11 votes short. Democrats are trying to pressure Republicans into extending subsidies under the Affordable Care Act. House Speaker Mike Johnson has warned this could be the longest shutdown in history.
A new study says nearly 5 million people could lose health care coverage if those Affordable Care Act subsidies expire. On top of that, the Urban Institute says the expiration of the tax credits would make health care more expensive for all who use the marketplace, including covered California enrollees. Officials warn the cost burden could be so severe it would threaten coverage for hundreds of thousands of residents, especially those in the Central Valley.
It's 8:17, and we've seen some improvement on some of these commutes. I do want to mention that we're still backed up big time on the Richmond approach to the bridge. So if you're driving over to Marin out of the East Bay, it's going to take longer, even though now things are improving. Same thing with the Bay Bridge. We're backed up beyond the Maze, and the San Mateo Bridge has finally improved. We've also seen some slow traffic in the Santa Clara Valley. All the freeways there are slow. The crashes we had have been mostly removed. However, there is a new one, northbound 101 right at 237. And 237 and 101 in Sunnyvale are very slow. So if you're in this area, Sunnyvale area, it's going to be a tough drive. 8:17, let's bring Steve back.
Sal, we'll go to San Jose. Do you know the way this? I do, and it's wet. Boy, they've had a lot of rain here since July 1st. The rain year. This week they picked up 1.52. This is as of yesterday. The season total is now 2.41. That 1.52 made it the 3rd wettest October day in their history. I think records go back to 1893, 2009, and 1962 they had wetter October days. What's interesting, though, the top 3 wettest days in San Jose's history in October all occurred on the 13th. As of this year, though, they are 861% of normal, with that season total of 2.41. Normal rainfall for this time of year would be 0.28. Way to go, San Jose. San Jose to the Santa Cruz Mountains. Santa Cruz Mountains, I think, took the brunt of the heaviest totals here. Saratoga Gap above Cupertino, 2.75. Bonnie Doon had 2.44. Other big totals, 66th Avenue in Oakland, 2.17. This is Monday to Wednesday morning. Alum Rock over 2, Mount Diablo almost 2, and Brentwood 1.84. That's really good rain for them. It's good rain for anybody, but that's really good rain for Brentwood. Near Crockett, Sonoma, Los Gatos, San Jose again, Livermore, Concord, SFO, and San Francisco. 3/4 of an inch to almost 2 for some. Sonoma and Los Gatos all with good rain. Other final totals here at Mount Tamalpais, San Ramon, Fremont, Vallejo, Hayward, San Rafael, Santa Rosa, and Napa Airport all over an inch to 1.80. There goes our big low. It's into Nevada. It's on its way out, but still moisture wrapping back around is mostly done, I think, here. But we have a lot of low-level clouds. Snow totals coming in now, several inches at the resorts. I know Mammoth had a foot. Their Donner Summits had some pretty good snow, but all the ski resorts are picking up some snow, so that's really good to see. 50s on the temps. We'll end up with 60s on the highs as the low kicks out. Drier will kick in, and there's nothing upstream yet. Maybe Sunday night, Monday, but it looks like it'll stay north. So you can get off my cloud today. A lot of low clouds, but we'll get some partly sunny skies later today. Temperatures will start to rebound with 60s, but look for 70s to maybe near 80 by Saturday, you guys.
Perfect. Steve, thank you. Time here is 8:20. A new study links ocean's algae outbreaks to Alzheimer's-like harm in dolphins. Why scientists say they fear humans may be next. New research is finding striking similarities between the brains of dolphins exposed to toxic algae and the brains of people diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. Researchers looked at brain tissue from 20 bottlenose dolphins. Many lived in Florida's Indian River Lagoon, which is an area prone to harmful algae blooms. Researchers at the University of Miami's Miller School of Medicine found some dolphins may have shown early signs of Alzheimer's disease.
We were able to find that, yeah, the dolphins did develop Alzheimer's disease changes, but they also had these particular types of algal toxins in their brain.
The co-author on the paper found in a different study, exposure to toxic algae can impact human brains as well. While researchers are still studying long-term effects of toxic algae in humans, they do warn people to stay away.
All right, it's coming up on 8:24 now. San Francisco restaurants, bars, and hotels are getting a lot of extra business this week.
Our Pam Cook is back and has more on this and news from Waymo. Another city is getting those self-driving cars. Welcome back. We're the 100th people to say it, but welcome back.
Yes,
we missed you.
Merci. Great to be back, and it's nice to hear that Waymo announced they are excited to bring their self-driving cars to London. The CEO says, quote, "We have demonstrated how to responsibly scale fully autonomous ride-hailing, and we can't wait to expand the benefits of our technology to the United Kingdom." Now, there's a history between Waymo and the UK as well. Its first international engineering hubs were in London and Oxford. That service starts sometime next year. Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, another Bay Area company, rang that opening bell this morning to celebrate its 10th anniversary of listing as a separate company. It plans to discuss expanding its growth in networking, cloud, and AI. All right, as we take a live look at the numbers, huge surge by the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P 500. Those good earnings reports from the banking sector coming in this week. Earlier, we had good reports for Goldman Sachs and Wells Fargo, now Bank of America and JP Morgan Stanley report better than expected numbers as well, taking, you can see the Dow Jones up 273 points, the NASDAQ up about close to 300 as well, and the S&P 500 up almost a full percentage point. Dollar Tree sales have slowed after raising prices to offset import tariffs from the Trump administration. Sales are down about 3% for the third quarter from this time last year. That is after selling off the struggling Family Dollar chain for about $1 billion, which is $8 billion less than it paid for it 10 years ago. Dollar Tree gets the majority of its merchandise from China, leaving it vulnerable to trade tensions. Whirlpool investing $300 million to modernize its manufacturing facilities. The appliance maker announced plans to improve the facilities to create next-generation washers and dryers. Company officials say the strategic expansion is expected to create hundreds of new jobs at its facilities in Ohio and thousands of extra jobs in related supplier and retail roles. And San Francisco's Dreamforce conference bringing a lot of extra business to the local economy. 50,000 people are at this year's Salesforce conference, and several restaurants and bars tell us they are booked for private events. The three-day Salesforce event is expected to add more than $130 million to the local economy, which is up from $93 million last year.
Just feels much more clean, much more vibrant. It seems like it has come back a lot since COVID.
You could totally tell by the amount of people that are on the streets and the traffic around the area. Definitely a lot more lively than the previous year.
And nearby hotels tell us that they were fully booked months in advance with people who are attending that convention. I'm Pam Cook. That's a look at your dollars and cents.
Pam, thank you much. One of the Bay Area's biggest non-freeway choke points is in San Anselmo. And the two biggest words in tech right now are being employed to solve the problem. How the city is using artificial intelligence to try and solve gridlock.
If you have a dream and if you have a goal and you have ambitions, la cosa es empezar. You just have to start, because if we didn't start 7 years ago, I wouldn't be here.
A San Francisco woman breaking barriers in the beauty industry. How she's helping others look and feel their best, with a special focus on those moms who are less likely to have time, money, or energy for themselves. We're at the scene of an apartment fire in San Francisco that we now know has led to 3 firefighters being injured. It is still a very busy part of the Marina District. You'll learn what helped this fire spread so quickly. Then an organization that's been working in the community for more than 50 years is facing new challenges. How congregations are turning their faith into action for neighbors in need.
From KTVU Fox 2 News, this is Mornings on 2.
Good morning and welcome back. I'm Garcia Michaelian.
I'm Andre Sr. It is Wednesday, October 15th. We're starting out with a cloudy day outside, especially after the last couple of days that we've had here. Let's find out if it's going to stay that way. Steve Paulson's in the Weather Center with more. Steve.
No, we'll get some sun breaks here, but a lot of cloud cover this morning. I think it looks like mist drizzle's about done, but, you know, pretty impressive here. Monday, Tuesday, and into early Wednesday. There was plenty to hang your hat on as far as rain went. 50s on the temps here because under cloudy to mostly cloudy skies. That moisture wrapping back around, though, looks like it's done. I don't think there's much left unless it's below the radar beam. Snow, though, still up in the mountains, although that as well looks like I think it's almost ready to say I'm done as the low moves into Nevada, and it's just now getting too far east. So get off my cloud. A lot of low-level clouds still hanging around, but partly sunny to mostly cloudy later today. There could be a few little pop-up showers east or over the hills, but I think we're about done here. 60 still below on the temps. All right, South's here, 8:31. It's been all about the bridges.
It sure has, Steve, and we've had some improvement in that regard. We're getting some improvement on the Richmond Bridge. You can see that traffic is going to be moderate, but it's a long line. The Bay Bridge, the same thing goes. Long line. But it's beginning to thin out, and likewise for that San Mateo Bridge. It's 8:31. Let's go back to the headlines.
Thank you, Sal. Straight back to our developing story here in San Francisco. Fire crews say they've successfully contained a 3-alarm fire that broke out early this morning. It started just after 4 at an apartment building in the Marina District that was under construction. Firefighters say flames started on the 2nd floor, then quickly spread to the 3rd floor and an adjacent building. We know 3 firefighters in all were injured. At least 2 fell from the 3rd to the 2nd floor below. We don't know much about their injuries, but the fire chief says they're in stable condition.
As soon as a mayday is struck, we implement what's called a RIC operation, where we send our actual RIC team in to rescue the firefighters. However, the members that were on the scene of the actual incident pulled the members out immediately and put them in the ambulance and took them to the hospital.
Fire officials say more than 100 firefighters responded to battle the flames and evacuate nearby residents.
8:33 today, the state's health insurance marketplace will send customers a letter warning that the government shutdown could lead to sharp spikes in their premiums. Regulators say insurance costs could double for those enrolled in Covered California. This comes just about 2 weeks before open enrollment on November 1st. The executive director of Covered California told us if the subsidies end, some people may cancel their policies.
People we think could leave are the people who are candidly going to roll the dice on their health care and say, I don't know if I can afford this premium. I have other things like rent, like childcare that I just have to have. I do not have a choice. And I'm going to hope that I don't have a health care incident that puts me in the ER.
California stands to lose $2.5 billion in tax credits if Congress fails to act. About 2 million people are signed up for Covered California, including more than 350,000 in the Bay Area.
Medicare open enrollment has started today amid the government shutdown. This means people can make changes to their plans until December 7th. Seniors are likely to reevaluate their health insurance options. Nearly 70 million rely on Medicare for health insurance coverage. The government shutdown means some information updates on Medicare's website could be delayed. Key services, though, are still available. Open enrollment for Medicare Advantage private plans isn't until January 1st.
Well, Democrats are calling in perhaps the party's biggest star to drum up support for the Yes on Prop 50 campaign.
With Prop 50, you can stop Republicans in their tracks.
Well, former President Barack Obama recording that political ad. Democrats say Prop 50 is their way to fight back after Republican states, including Texas, redrew their congressional maps to gain more Republican seats.
Illinois could be the next state to enter the nationwide redistricting fight. This week, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries spoke with members of the state's congressional delegation to drum up support. The Illinois General Assembly, which is controlled by Democrats in both chambers, would have to vote on any new maps. The state's governor, J.B. Pritzker, has previously said that redistricting is on the table. Here at home, the Dreamforce 2025 conference continues today in San Francisco. It's the largest conference of the year for the city and draws people from all around the world. Yesterday, a keynote address from Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff made headlines over the weekend for suggesting he would welcome National Guard troops to San Francisco. Those comments came as protests and lawsuits are happening across the country over the Trump administration's deployment of troops to a number of cities. Benioff has since taken back those comments.
Proven year after year after year how to make it safe. That is the number one thing that's on my mind, safety. And so as I'm asked questions, all of these things, that's just kind of what's coming out. It's all about trust and safety. It is our highest value here.
Other speakers this week include the CEOs of Google and Anthropic, as well as former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg and actor Matthew McConaughey.
Well, since 1972, Oakland community organization Faith in Action East Bay has been a driving force for systematic change involving issues of racial justice and economic equity. Today, we're talking about how faith communities are coming together to care for one another beyond congregation walls and how that commitment is reflected in their organization work and organizing work on issues like immigration, housing, and education. Joining us this morning is Pastor Todd Benson, Executive Director of Faith in Action East Bay, with how communities are organizing as many immigrant families face growing challenges. Pastor Benson, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's talk about what the immigrant community really is experiencing right now as we see what is happening across the country here in the Bay Area.
I want to tell you a story about one of the folks that we work with. She has 5 kids. The youngest is 8 years old. And a few months ago, and he's a citizen, parents are not. And a few months ago, he came home from school and people had been telling him about what was going on. And he told his family that they were going to all be deported right away, even though he was a citizen. And so that night his parents got him together, tried to convince him that no, things would be okay, they would not be deported immediately. But they woke up the next morning to find that he had packed a suitcase because he thought they were all going to be deported as soon as possible.
Wow, so this is really being drilled to the subconscious of kids all across the country.
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. It's having huge impact on people.
And this kind of fear among people, this is definitely something that the one thing that you want to avoid here is the spread of fear, but that is exactly what's happening, you're saying.
Absolutely, and it's having a tremendous impact. Let me give you another example. So there was somebody we're familiar with who was picked up by ICE, breadwinner for the family, been in this country for many, many years. He's now in Bakersfield at the detention facility, and his wife has lost her visible means of support. So we were trying to figure out ways to support her, and this is affecting families and communities. Our faith values tell us that our families are sacred. So we work with the immigrant community. We work together to help keep families together.
So speaking of that, on that subject, faith leaders and how they're stepping in to help, can you talk a little bit about that and how the faith community is helping in this situation?
So what we try to do is we bring people together. We believe in the golden rule, right, that we all learned when we were kids. We do unto others as we would have done unto ourselves. And so we believe that our faith calls us outside of our buildings because our culture, our society, doesn't always operate that way. So our faith values help us bring people together to work on and solve challenges that are affecting our community.
So, it's important to understand what local leaders are doing, local lawmakers are doing. So what's the relationship between the faith community and local leaders when it comes to addressing some of these very important issues?
I think our local leaders have been very supportive of the immigrant community. Yesterday, the Alameda County Board of Supervisors approved over $3 million to provide support for immigrants and refugees. The Oakland mayor Barbara Lee has been very supportive. We live in a community, and we're fortunate to live in a community across the Bay Area where we say we welcome people to our communities. We are all children of God. We are all sacred. Our families are all sacred, and we act that way. whatever our particular faith tradition is, or if we're of no tradition.
Let's step back to the money that the Oakland City Council awarded, if I'm understanding it correctly.
The Alameda County,
Board of Supervisors. So how is that going to be distributed, and how's that going to directly impact families?
So it will go to several different purposes. Some of it will go to organizations that provide direct legal support to people who've been detained by ICE. We also in Alameda County have a hotline where people can call. If you look up a CILEP, ACILEP online, you can access that number. This money will allow us to operate that hotline on the weekends.
Gotcha.
It will also go to education and training for folks in the community. And in other counties across the Bay Area, there are similar hotlines. And so encourage everybody interested, if you hear of challenges going on, ICE pickups, to call the hotline in your community as soon as possible.
So there is help out there. The community is coming together like your organization is to help folks.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Pastor Todd Benson, Executive Director of Faith in Action, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time and the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
All right. Garcia?
Thank you both here. 8:40 during this Hispanic Heritage Month and beyond, one Bay Area woman is helping others look and feel their best with a business that's very close to her heart. Shan Berries is the CEO of the makeup line Shades by Shan. She's also a former radio host and mother of two. She launched her company in 2018 in her mother's basement. She says Shades by Shan is the first Latino-owned independent makeup brand to launch 40 shades of foundation and concealer simultaneously at a major retailer. She credits her mother, an immigrant from Ecuador, for giving her advice that she lives by to this day.
My mom, she always instilled in my sister and I, like, tienen que comenzar algo de ustedes propia. You have to start something of your own. You're never going to make money working for somebody else.
Shades by Shan is one of JCPenney's top 3 selling foundations. Berries also gives back to her community by raising money for the Mama Berries Foundation, which helps single parents. It's not often you hear of a possible tornado in the Bay Area, but next, what happened in one part of San Mateo County that has investigators working to determine if one actually touched down there.
Our time now is 8:44. Here's some of the stories we're following for you this morning. San Mateo County is looking for a new sheriff after supervisors unanimously voted to remove Christina Corpus from office. A retired judge submitted a 42-page review accusing her of several violations, including retaliating against a police captain who disagreed with her. Under Sheriff Dan Petta is in charge of the department until a new sheriff is selected.
Well, cleanup is still underway following this week's storm. The South Bay was the hardest hit, with flooding impacting several roads and neighborhoods Monday night. Leftover debris showed just how high the water rose in some parts of San Jose.
The rain left dozens of cars trapped in water, some with the driver still inside, like one spotted on Meridian Avenue. One towing company says it pulled 9 vehicles out of the water and ditches on Monday. House Speaker Mike Johnson and Israeli leaders say they will both nominate President Trump for the 2026 Nobel Peace Prize in connection to the Gaza peace deal. Last week, the Nobel Committee awarded Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado this year's prize. President Trump says he deserves the prize because of his efforts to resolve what he calls, quote, unendable wars. Well, Israel is demanding that Hamas fulfill all of its agreement in the ceasefire deal, including returning the bodies of all the dead hostages. 4 bodies were handed over last night. Israel identified 3 of them, but says the 4th may not have been an October 7th hostage. Palestinian leaders say the widespread destruction in Gaza is making the handover difficult. Israel is threatening to reduce the number of aid trucks going into Gaza if all the deceased hostages are not returned.
We need to flood Gaza with food and as quickly as possible.
Well, so far, Hamas has returned what's believed to be 4 of the 28 deceased Israelis, while Israel has released the first 45 bodies of Palestinians who were detained and killed after the October 7th attack. Well, San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie is touting what's being described as a historic drop in crime in the city. This year's homicide rate is on track to drop to its lowest level since the 1950s. 19 homicides have been reported for this year. That's compared to 24 at this time last year, although these numbers do not include last week's apparent murder-suicide of a family of 4. Mayor Lurie says citywide crime is down 30% year over year. Police crime stats also show car break-ins are at the lowest level since 2003.
The National Weather Service is looking into the possibility that a tornado hit San Mateo County on Monday. People living in the area say they experienced tornado-like winds. A farm owner says he spent much of Tuesday cleaning up. His farm is on the coast right along Highway 1. Says the winds came suddenly and forcefully, ripping plants out of the ground, even sending a 10-foot, 200-pound empty water tank flying across the highway. It crashed into an abandoned shed on a neighboring farm about a quarter-mile away.
He said, yeah, there's a big water tank over here, and I came out and realized that's, I guess, where it went.
The National Weather Service sent an investigator to the farm. It has yet to determine if it was, in fact, a tornado. Up north here, as a small town in Marin County is turning to artificial intelligence as it seeks to conquer decades of gridlock at one of its biggest commuter bottlenecks.
The intersection of Sir Francis Drake, Red Hill, and Center Boulevards all full of traffic nearly every day, and now the idea is to control traffic entirely with AI. The intersection known as the Hub has long been a frustration for thousands of drivers, and while San Anselmo has only about 16,000 residents, as many as 65,000 cars use this intersection every day. Sometimes delays at the intersection can last as long as 20 minutes. The city has now started a pilot program to use AI to replace old timing clocks in the traffic signal with a high-tech system that analyzes traffic flow in nanoseconds.
AI has cut down, we're I think about 25% at peak time, which is I think 4 to 6 p.m. So if you take that delay, 65,000 vehicles a day, you're saving 90 hours a day for commuters, which is incredible.
The computer analyzes how many cars are coming through and can determine whether a signal direction needs to be shortened or lengthened because of traffic. Some residents are already celebrating the program, others are skeptical.
Perfect application for AI. That's the kind of thing it will be able to do better than humans 24/7. So I'm all for it.
There are some times where you're sitting, there's no one on the other side of the street, and you're waiting because they have their light and it's timed, and you're just going to sit there until it changes. I think it's a perfect use of AI.
There is down the road a potential for this. I think that we need to slow it up a little bit and study it a bit more. I mean, that's my sense. The boys on Wall Street are making money off of things that are not even working yet.
Well, the system was activated just last month. It cost about $30,000 to install and will cost about $12,000 a year to maintain. Another system was just installed about a block away, and 8 more lights are going to see the system installed over the coming months. It's being paid for by a grant from the Transportation Authority of Marin.
It is 8:49, and we are seeing improvement finally on the morning commute. Let's go out and take a look at the Richmond Bridge. Things are finally getting better, but the line is pretty long all the way back to Central. Yeah, that's right, Central. And also at the Bay Bridge, it's still backed up to the Maze. Now, it was raining earlier in some spots. It seems to be dry in my traffic pictures, and things are getting a little bit better. Look at that South Bay commute, though. It's very loaded up in a lot of these places. It's also going to be, looks like a couple of different South Bay pictures there. The Peninsula traffic is also slow, primarily on 101. 8:50. Let's bring Steve back with today's weather.
All right, Sal. I'm noticing yesterday, Santa Rosa was 56 at the airport, 56. That was a record cool maximum temperature for the date. Concord Buchanan was only 58. That was a record cool high temp for the date. And it wasn't official, but everything I'm seeing said Travis, Fairfield, their high was 58. The previous record was 65 in 1962. So if you thought yesterday was cool, it was. It was record-setting cool. All because of that powerhouse low, which is now into Nevada. It's on its way out of here. Moisture rotating around the backside gave us a lot of mist, drizzle, light rain this morning. I think we're about done. Cloud cover's there, although there are a few breaks in the clouds now, and we'll see these increase throughout the day. But it's a cloudy to mostly cloudy morning. We've had about 1/10 of an inch of drizzle for some. 30s up in the mountains, 32. They are getting some snow, although it looks like it's about done. But Incline Village, Donner Summit, all the ski resorts reporting some snow. So that's a great start for October. 50s on the temps here. The low moves out. The high will build in, and I think we're going back to drier and warmer weather at least Saturday and probably beyond, but a little cooler Sundays the way it looks. Partly to mostly cloudy later. Temperatures rebounding, but still only the 60s. But warmer temps will really start to kick in tomorrow and take us into Friday, Saturday, you guys.
Steve, thank you. 8:51 here. There's just one preseason game left for the Golden State Warriors after the team's win last night against the Portland Trail Blazers. Stephen Curry looked like he was in mid-season form, finished with a game-high 28 points in just 3 quarters. Kuminga left this one early after getting ejected in the final seconds of the first half after arguing with a ref over a no-foul call. The Warriors will now look to end the preseason with another win on Friday against the Los Angeles Clippers. Warriors friendship is taking a new form. Buddy Hield and Jimmy Butler will be featured in a new Best Buddies bobblehead. Since Butler arrived to the Warriors last season, the two have entertained reporters during news conferences and regularly crash each other's media moments. We spoke with Hield about the friendship.
Teammate, great professional, great player for sure. Lots of fun, lots of laughter. Always been joking around him, but the winning brings more of the joy and the fun. So just stay on him and just making sure he's doing his job, man. And if he's not doing his job, we'll get on to him. And I just can't wait to be able to share the floor with him this season.
The first 10,000 fans in attendance for Friday's Warriors preseason game against the Clippers will get the Best Buddies bobblehead. Tip-off is at 7.
8:53 now. A look in the mirror could help unlock the past. When you join us on the 9, the illusion that's helping adults relive moments they thought were gone for good. 8:55, 49ers star linebacker Fred Warner underwent surgery to repair his broken and dislocated right ankle. Warner's wife, Sydney, posted a picture of Warner smiling in a hospital gown on her Instagram story. In a later post, Sydney thanked the faithful for all of their support, writing, "They're counting down the days until Fred comes back better than ever." Well, a Niner fan in Alameda is looking to keep fans' spirits high despite all of the team's injuries. Casey DeShong has created in his front yard a line of 49ers players heading into the blue medical tent on the sideline to get checked out for their injuries. Well, it's a visual representation of the long list of injuries the Niners have dealt with this season. DeShong says he considered taking the display down when Fred Warner got hurt, but chose to keep it up to display and show fans to support the team.
Didn't start out this way. We didn't want it to have a concussion medic tent, but then after the first game and some of our players started to get injured and then more players got injured, we thought, well, okay, well, maybe that's the theme, is that everybody is lining up to go into the concussion protocol tent, and then sadly it just continues. I wish it would stop, though.
Many people do. Several injured 49ers are depicted in the display, including George Kittle, Nick Bosa, and Brandon Ayuk. DeShong says he cannot remember a time when a team has faced this many injuries in one season.
Warriors fans will have some new merchandise this season. Kristen Juszczyk, the wife of San Francisco 49ers fullback Kyle Juszczyk, announced on Instagram she's partnering with the NBA for a new collection, which launches next Tuesday. She launched her brand back in January after her creations, based on football jerseys, landed her a licensing deal with the NFL.
Well, the San Jose Sharks will play their first road match of the season in Utah on Friday. Last night, the Sharks were looking to get their first win of the season against Carolina. After a scoreless first period, the Hurricanes exploded in the second, scoring 2 late goals that ultimately buried the Sharks. San Jose managed to tie the game briefly before the Hurricanes went on their run, but the Canes' suffocating defense locked down the third period, Sharks falling to the undefeated Carolina Hurricanes at home 5-1.
UCSF is instituting another round of layoffs. According to SF Gate, the cuts consist of researchers who were driving medical breakthroughs for neurodegenerative diseases, including Alzheimer's. About 28 workers in all are being let go. Researchers say many of the drugs they're working on were close to FDA submission and now worry that work will be put on hold. UCSF cut about 200 positions earlier this year amid cuts to grant funding. A new study reveals a growing mental health crisis among California's young population, with anxiety and stress surging to unprecedented levels. Researchers highlight social media as a major contributing factor to the struggles among teens and young adults. Platforms are being linked to increased risks of depression, negative body image, and exposure to cyberbullying. Experts are urging greater investments in mental health resources to help address the widespread and urgent need for support.
Well, Scouting America, formerly known as Boy Scouts of America, is stepping into the world of artificial intelligence. The nonprofit youth organization says members can now earn merit badges in AI and cybersecurity. Scouting America says the badge will challenge scouts to learn how to use the new technology, as well as being able to address its dangers and impact on the world. We'll be right back. Mornings on 2. The 9 starts just 60 seconds from now. Stick with us.
A fire tears through a San Francisco home, sending 3 firefighters to the hospital. We're live from the Marina District with what we're learning this morning.
Then the government shutdown drags into its third week as workers miss paychecks. Bills are piling up. The frustration that's boiling over.
Plus, Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff walking back his comments about bringing National Guard troops to San Francisco. Those remarks sparking backlash from city leaders, how he's clarifying what he meant as Dreamforce enters its second day.
Live from Chat London Square, this is Mornings on 2, The 9.
Well, today's Wednesday, October 15th. You're looking live at the Golden Gate Bridge there in the distance, as well as Alcatraz. We're still beginning this Wednesday with a very cloudy morning, but things are going to be clearing up. We're going to check in with Steve in just a moment to find out when these clouds will finally move out. We'll see the sun across the Bay Area. Let's get back to our developing story this morning out of San Francisco, where fire crews say they've successfully contained a fire, a 3-alarm fire that broke out early this morning.
Yeah, 3 firefighters are in the hospital, and a building is severely damaged in the Marina District.
We sent our James Torres there as soon as we learned of this as breaking news in the early morning hours. You're still there on Chestnut Street. The fire started around 4 a.m. Bring us up to date, James.
That's exactly right. Good morning to the three of you. This is along Chestnut Street as it meets where Lombard becomes Richardson. And one problem that firefighters worried about earlier this morning was this going to affect some of the traffic headed toward the Golden Gate Bridge? That does not seem to be the case. It seems firefighters are now breaking down from that area. Traffic moving along just fine here as you get closer to 101. Now, as you mentioned, those firefighters have been there since about 4 o'clock this morning. They saw the fire started on the second floor of a building empty and deep into construction, so much so that it didn't have some of the elements installed that would have prevented the fire from spreading as quickly as it did. Those flames jumped to the 3rd floor and spread to some nearby buildings, which all share walls. We talked to one man who was evacuated. He says he and his wife, who was 8 months pregnant, lived there. They are now out of their home.
Selfishly, hopefully they're not destroying our place too much. It wasn't in our place, but I understand that, especially with the building or the fire being between the buildings, that was the easiest way, I guess, to get to the small bit of fire remaining.
This was a dangerous event for firefighters. At one point, the floor on the 3rd floor gave out and 2 firefighters fell through, landing on the 2nd floor. They are now in the hospital recovering. A 3rd firefighter overexerted himself on the scene. He's now going to the hospital for injuries to his shoulder and his arm. A total of 4 people are displaced from this fire. That man we spoke to tells me his family is local, so they do have a place to go if they cannot get back into their apartment. Investigators still on the scene working to find out how that fire started. We're live this morning in San Francisco. I'm James Torres, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Thank you, James. We'll stay in the city here as happening today. The Dreamforce conference is now in its 2nd day. Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff is walking back his recent comments about supporting the idea of National Guard troops in the city. The issue came up in a Q&A session with Benioff at the very start of the annual Dreamforce Tech Conference. Our Ali Rasmus live here to explain the response from city leaders.
Well, Garcia, we are expecting to see and hear more of that response from city leaders coming up in the next hour from now. San Francisco District Attorney Brooke Jenkins and other city officials are expected to come out and publicly condemn this idea of National Guard troops coming to San Francisco. It follows the controversial statements made by Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff last week ahead of his Dreamforce conference. Those statements in a phone interview late last week, Benioff told the New York Times he fully supports President Trump and thought the president should send National Guard troops to San Francisco, saying, quote, "We don't have enough cops, so if they can be cops, I'm all for it," end quote. That led to an immediate outcry from San Francisco city leaders who pointed out crime is down in the city compared to previous years. And in the 5 days since that story broke, Benioff has since walked back some of those comments. Yesterday, on day 1 of the Dreamforce conference happening at the Moscone Center, there was a Q&A session involving Benioff. One of the reporters there asked him about those comments, and he said that it was really his preoccupation with the idea of safety that led him to make the statements. Here's what he had to say.
We're doing everything we can to make this a safe experience. This is San Francisco's largest conference by more than 2x. And we've proven year after year after year how to make it safe. That is the number one thing that's on my mind, safety. And so as I'm asked questions, all of these things, that's just kind of what's coming out.
And Benioff provided some additional clarification earlier this week in a statement he posted on social media site X. He said, quote, "When I was recently asked about federal resources, my point was this. Each year, to make Dreamforce as safe as possible, we add 200 additional law enforcement professionals. It's proof that collaboration works and a reminder that the city needs more resources to keep San Franciscans safe all year round." Now, during that Q&A session, Benioff was also asked by a reporter what he thought about President Trump's plan to enact a $100,000 fee for H-1B visas. Benioff politely responded that he wanted to limit his comments in that Q&A session to Dreamforce only, so he avoided that political topic. But again, later this morning, in the next hour, we're expecting to hear from San Francisco's mayor, we're told. Will also be joining District Attorney Brooke Jenkins to talk about this issue of National Guard troops to San Francisco and, again, speak out against that idea. Live in San Francisco, Ali Rasmus, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Ali, thank you so much. All right, let's get over to Steve Paulson right now to talk a little bit about the gray skies we have here along the Oakland estuary to see how long it'll stick around. Steve?
Was it a little chilly for you yesterday?
Yes.
It was. It was record.
You talking to me?
I'm talking to all three
Are
of
you talking to me?
You
Just
talking to
kidding.
me? Yeah. Santa Rosa Airport in Concord, what about them? They were never this cool on high temps in their history. These were records. The high in Santa Rosa Airport, 56. Normal should closer to 74. And Concord Buchanan was only 58 degrees. That was a record low maximum temperature. Their normal is around 73. Not posted here, but I believe it shattered a record, was Fairfield, Travis Air Force Base. Their high was only 58. The record was 65 back in 1962. So if you thought it was cool, I mean, Vallejo, Cordelia, Kentfield, many locations never got above 57, 58 yesterday. Now we shift gears to rainfall in San Jose. San Jose is just sitting on the king of the crown here. As of yesterday, they had 1.52 for the week. The season total is now 2.41, making that the third, that 1.52, the third wettest October day in their history, going back to 1893. The wettest day was back in 1962, and then also 2009 were wetter. What's interesting is all those days, the first, second, and third place for October, all happen on the 13th. You don't see that all the time. But as far as this year goes, they are 861% of normal with that season total at 2.41. Normal is 0.28. San Jose just leaving everyone in the dust here, so to speak. Okay, here we go. Rain totals for the week here. Saratoga Gap, 2 3/4. Bonnie Doon, 2.44. That was about what we thought. Oakland Avenue at 66. Oakland at 66th Avenue, over 2. Alum Rock over 2. Mount Diablo almost 2. And Brentwood, 1.84. Other locations, again, I try and get as many areas around the bay as I can. Near Crockett, Sonoma, Los Gatos, San Jose, Livermore, Concord, all over an inch. SFO, 87/100ths. And the city had 3/4 of an inch and then never budged off it for 24 hours. Other locations checking in were pretty good. Mount Tam, 1.80. San Ramon, Fremont, Vallejo, Hayward, San Rafael, Santa Rosa, and Napa Airport between an inch and 14/100ths and 1.80. There goes our low. It's into Nevada now, north of Las Vegas. So once that moves out, that moisture